Three men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from right to left across the screen. A title appears: Access Matters. Accessibility, communication, cooperation, excellence, sensitivity, and service. What is sensitivity? Stephen Fine, a Transit Authority of River City bus driver, is interviewed in front of a bus. Christy Ross, Easter Seals Project Action. Donna Smith, Easter Seals Project Action. Sean Gabriel, transit customer. Michael Toon, transit customer.
Sensitivity is about first understanding the basic similarities in all people and being comfortable with the characteristics that make us different.
Sensitivity really comes when we internalize this information and it becomes a natural part of how we treat people.
I think sensitivity really occurs when you see the person as a person getting on your bus and you don't break it down in terms of what type of disability this person may have, what their limitations may be, what their abilities may be, but it's just a person getting on your bus.
Some of the assumptions that people make about me when I get on a bus or when I'm out in public is that I'm going to need their assistance in every way, shape, and form, which isn't always the case.
The most important thing for operators to know about being sensitive to people with disabilities is that, oftentimes we're just trying to do our daily life, what we need to do, go to work, go shopping, whatever it is. And it's not necessarily that we want special consideration, it's just, we just want to be able to conduct our daily business.
The one thing that I wish every driver would realize about people with disabilities is that every disability is different. Every single one.
The words appear. What is respect?
I think it's important to treat people with respect and not talking down to them. And
respect to me is honor. When you honor somebody the way you would want yourself to be honored, you honor them.
When you treat a person with respect, that shows.
You have a person who's in charge of a vehicle that's got X amount of people on it and basically has their lives in his hand. And this can be a very stressful job, I understand. I mean, you have a huge machine, there's traffic all around you, and yeah. So there should be respect on that level. And then the driver should have respect for the passengers because it's good. For one thing, it's good customer service.
Easter Seals Project Action rectangular red logo moves about the screen and the words appear: Easter Seals Project Action, Access Matters. The video is in fast forward as Stephen, the bus operator, walks around the bus inspecting it closely. He walks onto his bus, pushes buttons and flips switches, extends the ramp and extends and retracts the security belt. The priority seating for seniors and disabled sign is displayed.
This video is a basic guide for promoting positive and effective communication between operators and customers with disabilities. As a bus operator, you are an ambassador for your transit system. Your excellent customer service will result in a positive experience for your passengers. It will also make your job easier. This video explains how best to serve customers with disabilities, incorporating the transportation provisions of the Americans with Disabilities Act. By using these tips for good customer service and safety, you and your passengers will have a safe and enjoyable trip.
Easter Seals Project Action logo and Easter Seals Inc. logo appear. Three men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from left to right across the screen. A title appears: Scenario Number 1.
I know what I'm doing, and it's really nice when they'll be patient, open-minded, and allow you to do things yourself.
Over here in this country is actually very different, and you take these people as a very valuable person and with respect, and being around people with disabilities every single day have taught me good things and kind of changed my view on how to see people with disabilities or how to help them out. And I just love my job. That's what I do, and I just love it.
Spoken by Selvin Garcia, Independence Center of Northern Virginia. Stephen exits the front door of the bus and opens the back accessible door where Selvin and Jill are waiting. He reaches for the door handle.
Hi there, sweetie.
Opens the doors and lowers the ramp.
Does she need help?
Selden looks from Stephen to Jill and back.
Why don't you ask her?
Stephen turns to Jill.
Do you need help?
No, thank you.
Parts of scenario number 1 are repeated.
Pause the video. Select a partner and discuss the following questions. What did the operator do well? What could the operator have done differently? After a few minutes of discussion, begin the video again. If you are a self-learner, jot down your answers on the form provided. Effective communication with people with disabilities should follow the basic rules of customer service and good manners.
Hi there, sweetie.
Though the operator seemed genuinely interested in providing a positive experience to Jill, he failed to respect her. First, by treating her like a child, calling her sweetie, and then by speaking to her companion instead of speaking directly to her. Effective communication means speaking clearly in a normal tone, volume, and speed, unless customers request otherwise, and speaking directly to the customers with disabilities, not to their companions.
Fades to black. 3 men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from right to left across the screen. A title appears, scenario number 2. A series of people are interviewed, followed by Donna Smith and her dog guide, Farlow, waiting to board the bus.
I remember operator actually telling me she didn't realize that this gentleman was blind, and so she's asking, or he asked what bus she was, and she's like, can't you see? And he just calmly said no, and you feel like a big heel because you don't know. So we're not here to judge anyone, we're just here to help.
When the stops aren't called out, what happens is that I begin to lose orientation about where I am. If I pass up my bus stop on my particular route home, if I pass up my stop, the next one is just beyond a truly major intersection.
If I pass their stop up, that's a hard thing for them if I pass their stop. And I've done it, it's happened a couple times. And they get so outraged, and I'm thinking, why are you upset? Well, for them to go back another block or 2 is a big production. In those days, when I was learning this, they didn't have the curbs where it was easy access to go from sidewalk to sidewalk, that cut-out driveway type curves. So they had to navigate bouncing down into the street and trying to get up on the next curb. So it was a big deal for them if I missed their stops.
When the driver doesn't call the stops, or at least the major stops, all of a sudden I'm a couple miles from where I need to be, and then I have to wait for another bus going back the other direction or walk, and sometimes it's hard for me to walk 10 blocks or so.
I'm an animal person, I'm a dog person. So I love dogs. And it's tough not to pet a blind dog, a guide dog, as they come in, because they're so cute, but you have to keep your hands off of them, and that's the hardest. That's frustrating for me, because I want to pet them. Oh, you cute thing, you. But you're not supposed to touch them, they're on the job.
A common misperceptions about dogs is how much the dog knows, like, the dog doesn't know which bus to get on, they don't know where to get off, they don't know where I'm going, they follow basic left, right, forward commands, and it's always up to the individual to be oriented and to know exactly where you're going next and to instruct the dog. The dog's job is to keep me from falling down steps or running into poles. A couple of things that operators can think about is, number one, to pull up to the curb when possible. So if it's not possible to pull right up to the curb, then it's very helpful if they tell me. The other thing that operators can do to make things move a little more smoothly is that when I'm standing in line, I don't always know, for instance, if someone's getting off the bus. The policy is generally let people alight from the bus before others board. And so if they would just say, people coming out, or something along those lines to let me know that I shouldn't step in right away. That's usually helpful. And then when it is clear for me to step in, they can say step on that. And so there's just really little things that operators can do to make the whole experience go smoother and faster, which is one of the things that I know they're concerned about in terms of keeping their schedule.
Good morning. The step's about 9 inches up and you're about 1 foot away.
Donna follows Farlow onto the bus. The operator pets Farlow as Donna pays her fare. Donna walks to one of the first seats and sits down. She pets Farlow, adjusts her collar, and moves the dog into a position at her side, out of the aisle. Donna is shown riding the bus.
There are a lot of people who ride the bus who make that choice because, they're wanting to not get stuck in traffic, or they want to save on the cost of fuel, or they don't want to have to pay for parking. And so they make the choice to ride the bus. For me, it's not a choice. It's my mode of transportation. And it's significant enough to me that all of the major decisions in my life are made around the availability of public transportation.
Donna stands up to leave the bus. The driver quickly gestures with his thumb.
Tell me where to catch the 74?
It's right over there. Oh, excuse me. As soon as you step off the bus, it's 1 block to your right and a half a block to your left.
Thanks.
Donna smiles and turns, walking off the bus. Fade to black. Parts of scenario 2 are repeated.
Pause the video. Select a partner and discuss the following questions. What did the operator do well? What could the operator have done differently? After a few minutes of discussion, begin the video again. If you are a self-learner, jot down your answers on the form provided. Never touch or talk to a service animal without asking the handler's permission. Service animals are working animals. Also remember that not all service animals are dogs. You cannot require special identification for a service animal, inquire about a customer's disability, or ask for a demonstration of the tasks that the animal has been trained to perform. You may, however, ask if the animal the customer is bringing on board is a pet or a service animal, and you may ask what tasks the animal performs. Operator or passenger allergies or fear of animals are not valid reasons for denying a ride to a customer using a service animal. Passengers with service animals cannot be required to sit in a specified area. A person with a disability cannot be asked to remove his or her service animal from the bus unless the animal is not under his or her control, or the animal poses a direct threat to the health and safety of others.
3 men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from left to right across the screen. A title appears, Scenario Number 3. Interviews include Lio Oshiemi, Independence Center of Northern Virginia, and Lucius Mangrum Jr., transit customer.
Sometimes when there's somebody sitting in priority seating and I'm having a bad day and feel like I might need it, I won't say anything because matter of personal pride maybe. But there have been times it's been so bad that I could not stand, and it was a longer bus ride, and I have had to ask somebody to move.
You find that in some situations, the drivers feel it's an inconvenience on their part to sort of provide the accessibility that the rider would need, like a rider in a wheelchair who needs a ramp. Some drivers, I've heard situations of some drivers just driving off because they don't want to have to bother with putting down the lift, and it's an inconvenience for them, and so they just keep riding, and that could be their parent, that could be their sibling out there waiting for the bus.
We're not out there to make their job harder. We're just out here trying to live our lives.
Lucius's bus stops for him as he waits in his wheelchair.
And trying to go about our business and try to do things like everybody else is doing.
Stephen gestures for Lucius to wait and walks back to the priority seating area.
Well, when someone doesn't want to move from the priority seating, I point to the sign behind them.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you move, please?
Stephen talks to an older woman. She gestures to her ear and shakes her head. Stephen takes a pen out of his pocket, writes on a pad of paper, and shows it to the woman. She nods and moves from the priority seating to another seat. Stephen adjusts the seating to accommodate the wheelchair, then lowers the ramp for Lucius. As the doors are closing, a woman holding a walking cane approaches and knocks on the glass. Stephen reopens the doors.
Good morning. Is this your bus?
Yes, it is. Can you please lower the ramp?
Stephen lowers the ramp for her, and she enters the bus. Parts of scenario number 3 are repeated.
Pause the video. Select a partner and discuss the following questions. What did the operator do well? What could the operator have done differently? After a few minutes of discussion, begin the video again. If you are a self-learner, jot down your answers on the form provided. All operators serve customers with disabilities. Recognizing that a person has a disability may be easy with some and not with others. People may have visible and invisible disabilities, but neither dictate the assistance they might need from you. When a person with a disability boards your bus and needs to sit in a priority seat or occupy a wheelchair securement location, you must ask individuals sitting in those locations to vacate their seats. A person may refuse to move from priority seating when asked. If this happens, follow your transit agency's policy regarding this issue. Since the driver was prepared with a pen and paper, he easily addressed a potentially awkward situation.
3 men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from right to left across the screen. A title appears, Checking Your Agency's Policies.
I've had dogs, cats, birds, rats, a number of animals I didn't think they used as service animals. The first time someone came on the bus with a bird, I just looked. I didn't know what to do or to say, or I can't tell them that that's not an animal that would provide some sort of guide for them. I can't say that, so it's just surprising, or it was surprising.
It's important to know that the animal's behavior is always under the control of the handler. And so really the bus operator should have absolutely nothing to do with the service animal at all.
The lifts were worked infrequently at best. The equipment was very complicated mechanically, and it would break down more than it was up. And it would, some result of that was I'd be waiting at bus stops, and the bus driver would come up and say to me that the lift's not working and proceed to go on his route.
It's very important that as a driver, I ask the person, are they ready to go up or down on a lift, so that I know that they're fully secured, holding the safety rails, and it's important for them to let me know when they're not.
The procedures that have been developed by a lot of people in the transportation system are there for a purpose. They had generally tried to cover just about every situation, and I would prefer that they take it seriously and follow it, and they'll make their day good, and they'll make the person with the disability, they'll make their day good.
Spoken by transit customer Edward McKenty.
Well, basically you check your lift before you leave the property every morning. And then when you go to use your lift and it doesn't work, you'll call the radio dispatcher, and it might have been something that has gone wrong with the bus, like the needle has gone down a little bit, or it could be a power failure. They do happen, but you call radio, you let them know that your lift's not working, they bring you another bus.
Know things like what bus it is. So if there's a sign with the number or letter of the bus or route destination, I need some kind of verbal information about what that is.
The bus is packed. I can't get any more people on board. And we're having to stop at every stop, and people have to wiggle their way off the bus, and then new people want to get on the bus. I can deal with that. It makes time, the schedule just goes out the window. But the worst part of that kind of day is when I have to turn people away and I can't let them on board. And when I get a wheelchair, a person in a wheelchair that's waiting and there's no room to put them, that's tough. That's really tough.
Parts of previous scenarios are repeated.
Occasionally, situations will arise that are out of the control of the bus operator. These situations may be related to weather, bus malfunction, mobility aids that are difficult to secure, disruptive passengers, service animals that are not under the control of their handlers, and fare payment. The participants should pause the video here and locate their agency's policies that address these types of situations. If this is being taught in a classroom setting, the trainers can have this information handy. For self-paced learners, this may require speaking to a dispatcher or supervisor. Once the policies are located, consider the following questions. Do these policies adequately address assisting people with disabilities in these situations? If not, what changes can bus operators recommend to transit agencies to better serve people with disabilities?
Fade to black. 3 men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from left to right across the screen. A title appears, Customer Service. Stephen is sitting at the wheel.
I feel as though I am an ambassador for my transit system.
Good customer service means you care enough to do the best that you can to meet their needs and do your job at the same time.
Good customer service is providing a timely schedule. It's interacting with people, trying to stay on a positive note, making sure that any questions that I need to answer are answered, and if people don't understand, to kind of clarify. But just making sure that I'm at my best so that they get the best service out of King County Metro.
Good service, good customer service, good service is making everybody happy. Make myself happy, make the passengers happy, make the company happy.
I think it's very important for the customers because they feel good riding with us because they have too many choices. But if they find a good customer service, they want to ride with us.
Spoken by Maria Del Rosario Melchor, Arlington Transit bus operator. 3 men using wheelchairs follow a sidewalk from right to left across the screen. A title appears, Final Thoughts. Previous scenes are shown after interviews. New scene. A man in a wheelchair waits at a King County Metro bus stop near a wheelchair accessible sign. Bus arrives, and the man uses the ramp to enter the bus.
The advice I'd give to new drivers to be patient and to take the time to get to know someone, because this may become a regular passenger. Allow them to tell you what they need without interrupting, and being sensitive to someone, and they may not always need you to help them, but just be able to be there to help someone.
The passengers deserve a nice ride, because I've been in many buses where the ride wasn't nice and it's not fun.
The great bus drivers are the ones that don't prejudge based on the fact that you don't look like you have a disability. And if you ask for something like the ramp, they go ahead and do it for you, no questions asked.
People with disabilities are part of the community, that we have lives like everybody else. We get out and do the same types of things, and we just need to use the public transit to get so we can do those things.
During this video, you were introduced to a variety of real-life scenarios you are likely to encounter on your daily route. You were presented with testimonials from people who have been affected by their operators' knowledge of and behavior towards people with disabilities. This training has provided you with the basic information and tools to help you better serve your customers with disabilities. Thank you for participating in this training and for your commitment to providing excellent customer service. For more information about this and other Easter Seals Project Action training events, go to projectaction.org.
Easter Seals Project Action logo and Easter Seals Inc. logo appear. A contact page reads 1425 K Street Northwest, Suite 200, Washington, D.C. 20005. Phone 202-347-3066. Toll free 800-659-6428. Fax 202-737-7914. TTY 202-347-7385. www.projectaction.org. Project Action at easterseals.com. More information reads, funding provided for Easter Seals Project Action through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Transit Administration. 3 men in wheelchairs waiting at a bus stop. Video cuts to black and then back as the bus pulls up. The credits begin. Production company, Rip It Up Sports. Producers, Christy Ross, Damon Shelton. Directed and edited by Mike Gaston. Music by Ellis Hawes. Script by Mike Gaston, Christy Ross, Carol Moss, Donna Smith, Karen Wolf Brannigan. Cast: G. Patrick Kalman, Linda Easley, Stephen Fine, Sean Gabriel, Selvin Garcia, Paul Hopkins, Lucius Mangrum Jr., Eileen McCune, Edward McKenty, Maria Del Rosario Melchor, Nicole Metcalf, Lio Oshiemi, Donna Smith, Michael Toon, Bertha Zimmerman Farlow. Curriculum Design Board, Scotty Barty, Stephen Fine, Don Galloway, Rick Garcia, Sarah Garza, Lauradine Jackson, Thomas Pfefferkorn, Cecil Rademacher, Douglas Stevens, Matthew Terry, Chris Wilson. Special thanks to David Birds, Adam McGinnis, Steve Yaffe, Arlington Transit, King County Metro, Yorktown High School. Easter Seals Project Action logo and Easter Seals Inc. logos appear.